What's going on, guys? Cruising Koozie here. I'm gonna talk about if you should have an N20 or N26. So first off, how to tell if yours is an N20 or N26. Right here, it says SULEV, Super Ultra Low Emissions Vehicle. If it's an N20, it'll just say ULEV, which is Ultra Low Emissions Vehicle. The N26, I'm pretty sure is only sold for California models. I'm not 100% sure on that. So first off, here's, I guess, a downside to the N26 over an N20 is the N26 has 2 catalytic converters. And that's just because it's a super ultra low emissions vehicle. It's meant to produce less harmful gases than a normal N20 would. But it really doesn't matter if you're gonna put an exhaust on it anyways. Like, the mid pipe I ordered deletes that secondary cat. It's not regulated by any sensors or anything, so it doesn't throw a check engine light. The car won't freak out. It's mainly just to clean up your exhaust a bit more than it normally would with the downpipe catalytic converter. I'd say a benefit to an N26 is that they're like the predecessor to the N20. It's supposed to kind of fix all the little problems that the N20 had, like the timing chain. It's not, it's like an engine specific warranty on this car. After 70,000 miles on an N20, you can't get it fixed for, like, I don't know what, I can't remember what it is, but like before 70,000, I'm pretty sure it's a free replacement if your motor goes out on an N20. But then after so many miles, they like, BMW will pay a specific price and it gets lower and lower after a certain amount of miles. The N26, that's not the case at all. They don't even have that option. So I'm under the impression that they have the updated timing chain already put in the N26. I'm positive that the N26 is only the LCI models as well, so I guess that would be a positive because you get all the small little bells and whistles that the pre-LCI models don't get. And then on top of that, the N26 for some reason makes 4 more horsepower at like 100 less RPM than an N20, so there's definitely modification in the tune. I don't know about engine internals. I'm pretty sure actually the N26 over the N20 I know can make like just a little bit more power after a tune. It's only like 20 horsepower, like when you're pushing stage 1 or stage 2 over each other. I know like the 320i's, their stage 1 tune puts them to what we make stock for the 328 models, but the N26 specifically makes a little bit more horsepower. And on top of that, we have the electronic wastegate over the pneumatic wastegate, which is better for boost, better for tuning, better for throttle response, just everything, I guess. I'd say another downside to the N26 over the N20 is it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to modifying the exhaust, because the N26 is V-banded on both ends of the downpipe, turbo side and mid-pipe side, when the N20, it's only V-banded right off the turbo, and then it's just a regular just slide-on pipe kind of clamp deal when you are on an N20. Another downside I would give to the N26 is that even though it is an LCI model, it is the only LCI model that can still come with pre-LCI headlights. I don't have the BMW adaptive LEDs because it's a lower package. When on a normal, any other 328 that would be an M Sport, it would still have the LCI headlights. Like, I came with LCI taillight stock, but not headlights, which is a pain in the ass when it comes to upgrading them. And then on top of that, my fog lights are pre-LCI as well, because on an LCI model, you can just swap out the bulbs on them. For me to upgrade, because I had to tint my fog lights yellow. I'm weird, I like yellow fog lights on cars, but I had to tint mine. I couldn't swap out a yellow bulb, which you can do on LCI models. The biggest upside to an N26 over an N20 would be that it's more reliable, without a doubt. It has all the little upgrades that the N20 just doesn't have, like the timing chain, the wastegate. I think something to do with like an EGR valve is different on this car. There's also an extra vacuum line, which can be good, can be bad. One more part to deal with if it breaks, but if it does break, it's not as big of a deal. If it was an N20, if you lose a vacuum line, your car is gonna run like shit. On this car, I can lose one vacuum line and it'll still run kind of crappy, but not as crappy, which is a plus side. And with it being more reliable, in my opinion, it makes it more tunable. It's more reliable, therefore, when you're putting the more power on it, it's less of a worry, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about certain parts failing as easily as they would on the other cars. Earlier I said that the N26 downpipe is a CNC V-band on both sides, which, when it comes to modifying, it makes it harder to find the parts for it, but when it comes down to tuning and all that, you're least likely to have a boost leak, because even right after the downpipe, you can still get a boost leak that can, it's not necessarily it kind of is a boost leak, because it can slow down your spool when it's not getting the full back pressure it needs on the turbo right there to spool up all the way quickly. So it's you're less likely to have to deal with a boost leak on the exhaust side than you would on the N20 when it's a normal band that rusts out pretty easily, from my understanding and what I've read. And I know the V-band clamps are like a pain in the ass on these cars. Like, they're stiff, they're rigid, they definitely hold boost like they should. So many cars driving by when I'm trying to film this, too loud. I'm like right next to the road, so whenever they fly by, it's all tire noise drowning out my talking. Well, that sucks. I filmed a couple portions of this video not in 4K. Hopefully that doesn't affect the editing, because on iMovie, for some reason, if you can only export the video in 4K 60 frames if more than half of it is filmed in 4K 60 frames, and I have no clue how much of the video was filmed under, it said like HD 30 frames, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? My phone overheated, so I kind of gotta sit in the car for a second, let the phone cool down. Arizona's too hot. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock at night and it's 94 degrees, which isn't as bad as the past couple of days. It was like almost 11 o'clock at night and I'm still driving around in 105 degree weather. Like, it's just ridiculous. But I needed to cool down so I could use the flash and show you guys what I was talking about earlier with the wastegates. I don't have a pneumatic wastegate to show you guys what that looks like, but I can show what the electronic wastegate looks like so that you can compare it to your car to see if yours is electronic or pneumatic, because that makes a big difference in the horsepower you can make on these cars. The electronic wastegate is capable of more boost, and I don't know how to explain it, but like, you get a better throttle response from it because it helps with boost building and boost pressures escaping better. So I don't know, you guys can compare it. You can look it up too, like, to see what all the differences are between an electronic and a pneumatic wastegate. The easiest way I can explain it is most pneumatic wastegates would be like what you hear on like a Subaru when it's driving down the street and it does that, or like it's every time it shifts. I sound goofy, but I mean, it's the easiest way to explain it. So they're more spring loaded, and they're more based off how much boost you're actually building, rather than the ECU determining exactly when it needs to let boost escape or when it doesn't, which is a huge benefit when it comes to tuning. Alright, so that's the electronic wastegate. You can tell from this whole portion right here, if it was the pneumatic wastegate, I believe that part, this little spring right there, which releases the boost into the exhaust, I believe it would come out all the way up to here and attach to the side where this connector is. My car's stinky. Found some E95 up in Tempe. Got that pure ethanol, and it made the exhaust so much stinkier. It's crazy. I'm filming 2 videos at once, and I haven't really had my face behind the camera in a while, so I feel really awkward. overall, in my opinion, I'd say the N26 is the best one to go with, especially if you're going to tune, whether that's custom or pro tuning freaks with boot mod, however you pronounce it. I mean, that's not that big of a deal to me. They don't have MHD for our cars, which sucks. But it really is the best version just because it's more reliable and it's capable of a little bit more boost. So, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory at that point. That's gonna be all for, I guess, 2 videos. Thanks for watching.